Dia de los Muertos, also known as Day of the Dead, is a Mexican tradition that dates back more than 3,000 years. Since those times, the indigenous people of Mexico who belong to different civilizations, such as the Aztecs, believe that most people who died went to a place called Mictlan, which is the underworld in Aztec mythology. Here, our loved ones could finally rest. This two-day celebration takes place November 1st and 2nd. It's greatly honored in many states in Mexico, such as Michoacán, which is where I was born. I have to admit that this holiday would really freak me out. My grandma would set up this special altar filled with pictures of the deceased, mementos, fruit, and many foods to offer the dead. One in particular is called pan de muerto. These nights are very important because it is believed that the gates of heaven open at midnight on October 31st, and the spirits of all deceased children, in which we call angelitos, are allowed to reunite with their families for 24 hours. On the afternoon of November 2nd, the festivities are taken to the cemetery. People clean tombs, play cards, listen to the village band, and reminisce about their loved ones. Dia de los Muertos recognizes death as a natural part of the human experience, and it's also an important lesson about our cyclical life and death. In today's video, I will be recreating the character La Muerte from the movie The Book of Life. Enjoy! To begin this look, I am starting off with a sticky eyeshadow primer in white, and this is really going to make the shadows stand out. First color that I'm taking is a teal shimmery color. I chose to go for shimmery shades because they really add dimension, and I am going to loosely apply this all over the eyelid, brow bone, extended past the tear duct, a little bit past my eyebrow, and also on the lower lash line. Next, I'm taking this color, which is more of a mint color, and this is going to go in the inner part of this eyeshadow application. This is just going to make the center of the eye a little bit brighter than the rest. And then taking a shimmery dark deep blue color, that's going to go in the inner corners and also on the outer corners. And again, these are all layers that I'm using to add dimension to the eye. I think it looks a lot better than something that's flat, and it looks a little bit more realistic and cool, especially when you have colors like blue and black next to each other, which red and black, which I really don't like using next to each other. So this is a really cool compromise. Now I'm taking a really fine tip eyeliner brush and using a cream gel liner, which is going to be matte. And I'm using this to trace out the outline of the inner part of my eye, which is a little bit more elongated. And I'm also going to trace the outer part, which is the part next to the red. I am going to switch brushes because this one's really fine and it just allows me to have kind of like an outline of what I want to do. And then with a thicker eyeliner brush, I'm going to go back in and make the lines a little bit more defined and thicker. And once you have the basic shape, which is a little bit more oval than round, I'm going to start by filling in the inner parts with the same black cream matte eyeliner. So now I'm going to clean up the edges to make them a little bit more oval, so just I have really nice edges. I used lots and lots of Q-tips for this look, so make sure you have a nice pack next to you because it's really going to come in handy when creating the shape that you want. Because I found it really hard to just get it right the first time with just freehanding it, so the eyeliner is really going to help. And on top of that black, I am going to be using a shimmery black glitter, and I'm just going to press that right on top of the black. Again, I don't really like the whole look to be matte, so the shimmers and the highlights and the glitters are really adding another level of dimension to this look. And I'm also using the same eyeliner to just trace a line right on top of my eyelid. And now this product that I have here is a red cream eyeshadow base, and I'm going to use this to trace it right along the edge of the black. And again, I am going to use a Q-tip to clean out the edges and also baby wipes, because as you can see, the line is actually pretty thick and I don't want it that thick. So I'm just going to use those the Q-tips to clean it up. Here I'm just adding black eyeliner to my waterline and then smoking it out with a blending brush. And next, to glam it up a little bit, I am going to be using some really cool dramatic lashes. To create the outer design, I'm using a really fine paintbrush and water-activated face paint. And this is just going to be the base of the outer outline. I'm going to just fill it in first with the yellow, and then I'm going to trace it with a red eyeliner. I'm also going to take the red and just dot a few dots on the outer parts of the top and bottom portion of the black. Using lash glue, I'm just going to dot some glue inside the little design and then adhere some red gems that are actually for nail design, and I'm using a Q-tip for that. After that, I'm using a sponge and clown white face paint, and I'm going to start by smoothing this all over my face and also on my neck, on my chest, shoulders, a little bit on my ears. And you don't have to worry about like smearing the actual design in the eyes, because I'm going to use a sponge, or I'm sorry, a brush to kind of blend that into the corners so it kind of just fades out. And then for more of a precise application of this white, I'll be using a small brush if I just really need to get into those details. It's really not that crazy, but I feel like it works better this way so you don't have a layer of white underneath the eye design. And then I'm using some super white setting powder to really make sure that this is nice and white. And I'm just going to dust that all over the areas where I applied the clown white face paint and body paint. And this is going to set it, and it's also going to allow me to work on top of this without smearing the white. Next, I'm going to use the same fine tip brush that I've been using throughout the whole video and the black cream eyeliner that dries matte. This one is from Bobbi Brown and it's called Black Ink. And I'm going to start by just doing the design on my nose, outlining it first and then filling in the inside. Here I'm using some white face paint to clean up the inner part of my nose, and it's all about just going back and forth with the black and the white and just cleaning up stuff. And you know, take your time. This is obviously something that is time consuming, but trust me, when you're done, it's gonna look phenomenal. And then I'm also just adding some gems that I added around the design around my eyes to the middle part of my nose instead of just doing like red paint. I think this looks a little bit cooler. So now I'm going to mix two different eyeshadows in purple, a lavender which has shimmer and then a matte deeper purple, and this is going to be the contour for the face, and this is also going to give dimension to the body. I really love this step because I feel like the purple just makes it a little bit more fun. I'm not a fan of like the black and the red and the yellow together, so the purple just makes it a little bit more girly in my opinion. And then I'm just going to take a matte red eyeliner, preferably one that is in a deeper side rather than bright. And I'm just going to trace the outline of my lips and fill them in. Now you want to pull out your liquid eyeliner. You do not want to use a cream liner for this step. I found it to be easier to use a liquid eyeliner that has a tip that's really flexible rather than something that's like really short and stiff. And I'm going to start by drawing the outline on my lips. The one in the middle is the longest, and just gradually make them smaller as you go towards the outer section of your lips. Now, if you mess up, you can just use white paint and a brush to kind of clean out and feather out the edges of your liner. And then for the face part, this really cool design, just print out some pictures of, designs of this sort to have them as inspiration so you can kind of have an idea of what you want to do on your face. But have fun with it. I am using face paint again that's activated by water, and it's not white, it's more of a sort of like a yellowish, very soft, like a yellow and white mixed together, if that makes any sense. I know it doesn't look yellow here, but that's the actual color that I'm using. And just start by designing some really cool things on the side of your neck, your face. Of course, the outer parts of your face, make them bigger, and then the inner parts, make them smaller. And just have fun with it. It's not going to be perfect. I think I was actually filming this video like literally for more than 12 hours, guys, no joke, because I was like testing different things out. And this is like around late at night, so the designs on my neck weren't as perfect as I would want them to be. But you're designing this and you're making this, so don't be too hard on yourself. It's just face paint and just have fun with it. So this is what I ended up doing, and I loved it. And last but not least, just draw a red heart in the center of your forehead and fill it in with the same eyeliner. I'm sorry, this is lip liner. And then also just set it with a red shadow, and you're all done.